The moment unfolded like a scene from a blockbuster thriller, mid-interview. Cameras rolling, and suddenly Caitlin Clark dropped a bombshell that left everyone speechless. Fans are shocked as whispers spread that during the All-Star Draft broadcast, Clark executed a ruthless power play, trading her very own coach live on television. Emotions ran high in that tense studio, where teammates and rivals alike watched in stunned silence. The family was left divided when insiders hint at years of simmering tension between Clark and her coach, a feud fueled by snubs, public digs, and hidden ambitions. Was this a calculated move to assert complete control, or the breaking point of a relationship gone toxic? Rumors claim argument-filled text messages, exchanged in the hours before the broadcast, set the stage for the dramatic takedown. Friends close to Clark reveal she's never been more determined to build an empire on her own terms, even if it means publicly humbling those who once guided her. In this video, we'll peel back the layers of this shocking moment, exploring every angle from heated locker room confrontations to the fallout on social media. Buckle up, because the story you're about to hear is filled with betrayal, power, and the kind of drama that only the WNBA's biggest star could ignite: the buzz. Backstage was electric before Clark stepped in front of the camera. Whispers had spread of a secret late-night meeting between her and Napheesa Collier. Friends close to Clark claimed they saw a flurry of text messages between her and Collier that ended with a single line: "It's time." Meanwhile, the coaches' camp was equally frantic. Cheryl Reeve reportedly spent the previous evening rehearsing opening remarks for the live broadcast, unaware that her protege was plotting to remove her. Fans are shocked to hear that such drama was simmering behind the polished smiles and scripted sound bites, but as insiders would later reveal, the tension had been building for months. In a dimly lit green room, Collier paced nervously, phone in hand. She flicked between social feeds, eyes darting over speculation and heated comments. "Are you sure you want to do this?" she asked Clark, voice low but urgent. Clark, cool and composed, closed her eyes and inhaled deeply. "I need control," she replied. "I can't have someone who undermines me in every interview guiding my strategy." Collier nodded, steeling herself for the unprecedented move. Nearby, production assistants adjusted lighting, blissfully unaware that they were minutes away from capturing a moment that would redefine the league's power dynamics. Meanwhile, Reeve arrived at the set, clipboard and notes in hand. She smiled, for the cameras masking the storm brewing inside. Earlier that week, social media posts from Reeve had been laced with thinly veiled criticisms of Clark's meteoric rise. "WNBA is more than one player," she tweeted, stirring controversy. Clark's supporters saw it as a personal attack on their idol, while others argued that Reeve was simply defending the broader ecosystem. Either way, the atmosphere was charged. As the host welcomed viewers, Reeve mouthed a silent prayer for professionalism, hoping the broadcast would pass without incident. The live show began with cheerful banter. Collier and Clark bantered about roster picks, praising teammates, and sharing jokes. The audience laughed and clapped, assuming it was business as usual. Yet behind Clark's laughter lay a calculated edge. Every compliment, every nod to Reeve's coaching acumen felt like part of an elaborate ruse. Fans were torn between admiration for Clark's candor and bewilderment at the idea that she would publicly displace her own coach. Meanwhile, Collier watched the clock, rehearsing the signal that would trigger the epic takedown. Then came the moment of betrayal disguised as humor. The host asked Clark if she would make any last-minute changes to her coaching staff for the All-Star game. Clark paused dramatically, letting silence stretch. Reeve leaned forward, cue cards trembling slightly in her hand. Collier's knuckles whitened on the armrest. Clark smiled, then looked directly into the camera. "I don't know if this is in the rules," she said, voice steady. Reeve's expression shifted from amusement to alarm. "I don't really care," Clark continued. A hush fell over the studio with ruthless efficiency. Clark revealed her plan, a coach swap with the New York Liberty's Sandy Brondello. Reeves' eyes widened, disbelief etched on her face. Microphones captured the gasp from the audience. Collier tried to stifle a grin as she knew the moment was irreversible. Fans erupted online within seconds. Hashtags like #CaitlynDrop and #CoachGate trending. Commentators scrambled to interpret the move. Was it a stunt for ratings or a genuine power play? Either way, the spectacle was unforgettable. As the segment cut to commercial, Reeve was left alone in her chair, shock rippling through her crew. Members approached, offering tissues and whispered condolences. One assistant murmured, "That was savage." Reeve closed her eyes, mind racing through her months of careful planning, now unraveling in real time. Collier sat beside Clark, mouth pressed into a triumphant line. Clark whispered, "We did it," as her heart pounded. Behind the scenes, producers argued whether to proceed with the rest of the show or halt for damage control. The fallout began immediately. Social media was a war zone. Fans are shocked to see a player holding that much power, while critics accused Clark of disrespecting a mentor. Family members of both Clark and Reeve found themselves pulled into the drama. Clark's close relatives texted furiously, some praising her assertiveness, others worrying about the personal costs. Reeve's circle reacted with anger. Her brother posted a cryptic message about loyalty and betrayal. The family was left divided as strangers weighed. In on who was right. Back in the green room, Collier sighed, relief and guilt warring within her. She turned to Clark. "They're calling you ruthless," she said softly. Clark's eyes flashed. "I'm playing to win," she replied. In the hall outside, a news crew recorded interviews with stunned fans. One longtime season ticket holder said, "I've never seen anything like it. It's like watching a chess grandmaster sacrifice her own queen to capture the king." Others expressed disgust, feeling the move was too cold, too calculated for the spirit of friendly competition the All-Star game normally fostered. Meanwhile, Reeve retreated to a private suite backstage. She paced as assistants delivered water and snacks, attempts at comfort that felt hollow. Phone vibrated with notifications, tweets, direct messages, news alerts. Each ping felt like another blow. One text from a former protege read, "I can't believe she did that to you." Another from an unknown number read, "You played yourself." Reeve tried to craft a response, but words failed her. Later, she agreed to a brief interview, insisting she was proud of Clark's talent, but felt blindsided by the public humiliation. The league office scrambled. Commissioners convened an emergency meeting via video call, faces grave on screen. Sponsors weighed in, fearing brand damage from association with such public discord. Some called for rule clarifications to prevent future coach trades. Others suggested embracing the spectacle, betting on increased viewership. Behind closed doors, debates raged over whether Clark's move was a sign of the league's evolution or a dangerous break from tradition. Analysts speculated on how this power play would affect locker room dynamics. When Clark returned to her own team's practice facility as the night wore on, tension spread beyond the broadcast studio. Sports bars buzzed with debate, fans divided into camps defending Clark's boldness or lamenting the end of civility in the WNBA. Podcasts churned out hot takes, interviewing ex-players who shared stories of past player-coach conflicts. They wondered if Clark had set a precedent. Would future stars trade coaches to suit their own agendas? Would coaches now tread carefully, fearful of being replaced mid-interview? The ripple effects of Clark's move seemed poised to reshape the league's culture. Deep into the evening, Clark and Collier regrouped in a private lounge. They toasted champagne flutes, adrenaline still surging. "We made history," Collier said, voice trembling with excitement. Clark traced the rim of her glass, contemplative. "It's only the beginning," she murmured. "They'll try to push back, but I've shown what's possible." Collier raised an eyebrow. "Just be ready for the backlash." Clark nodded. the determination in her gaze like steel. She knew the road ahead was fraught with challenges, but in that moment, nothing felt more exhilarating than the power she had seized as dawn approached. Reeve finally emerged from her suite, a composed mask hiding turmoil beneath. She stepped onto an empty stage where the post-show media conference had been set up. Lights were off, but portable cameras still rolled for late-night clips. Reeve faced the lens, paused, then spoke with measured calm. The game evolves, and so must we. Leadership demands adaptability even when the stakes are personal. Her words hinted at resilience rather than defeat, setting the stage for a comeback narrative that fans would soon dissect. Unseen by most, a tear slid down her cheek, a silent testament to the price of public power plays. Just as the world began to catch its breath. Insiders leaked that Clark had already scheduled a private meeting with Sandy Brondelot for strategy sessions ahead of the All-Star game. Sources claimed Clark was offering Brondelot a high-profile media partnership in addition to coaching duties, ensuring loyalty and mutual benefit. Whispers of a multi-million-dollar endorsement deal surfaced, suggesting Clark's power extended far beyond the court. As the sun rose on a new day, one thing was clear. Caitlin Clark had reshaped the rules of engagement, and the reverberations of her ruthless move would echo through the 1BA for seasons to come. The fallout from that unprecedented broadcast was instantaneous and far-reaching. Barely a day had passed when whispers surfaced of a secret dinner between Clark and several league executives. Rumors claimed she'd pitched a bold vision for the OneBuzz Future One, where players held more sway over coaching hires, broadcast decisions, even scheduling. Critics scoffed at the idea of a player-led league, while supporters saw it as revolutionary, a much-needed shakeup. Meanwhile, back in her hometown, local news anchors scrambled to interview neighborhood friends who recalled Clark's competitive fire as a child, linking her early passion for leadership to this modern-day coup in the locker room of her professional team. The atmosphere was equally charged. Teammates greeted Clark with a mix of awe and apprehension. One veteran forward, Margot Stevens, pulled Clark aside after practice. "You know they're going to come for you," she warned, voice low and cautious. Clark dribbled a ball absent-mindedly, eyes fixed on the floor. "Let them try," she replied. "I've already weathered the worst." Stevens shook her head, concern etched on her face. "Just be careful. Loyalty runs both ways." Clark nodded, understanding that her bold gambit had altered more than just all-star rosters. It had shifted trust within her own squad, off the court. Social media morphed into a battleground. Memes mocking Reeve's stunned expression circulated alongside slick graphics celebrating Clark's power move. Influencers vied for screen time, dissecting every nuance. Was Clark's quip, "I don't really care," a joke or a declaration of war? Late-night talk shows featured comedians reenacting the scene, drawing laughter but also underscoring the absurdity of replacing a coach mid-interview. Advertisers jockeyed to sponsor segments, sensing the viral potential. The line between sports news and entertainment blurred further, leaving serious fans unsettled by the spectacle. Amid this cultural whirlwind, Reeve retreated to her off-season home, a lakeside cottage far from the arena lights. There, she convened her closest confidants, former assistants, retired players, family to plot her response. After hours of heated debate, they crafted a three-point plan, issue a grounded public statement emphasizing her coaching philosophy, schedule interviews with respected journalists to reclaim her narrative, and launch a masterclass series demonstrating her tactical genius. Their hope was to shift attention from the all-star slight to Reeve's expertise. Yet beneath their determined expressions lay uncertainty. Could a coach outmaneuver a star player in the court of public opinion? As progress on Reeve's plan unfolded, Clark doubled down on her bold persona. She granted an exclusive sit-down to a leading sports magazine, offering unprecedented access to her training regimen and strategic mind. In the feature, she described herself as more than an athlete, a pioneer, suggesting that traditional power hierarchies were outdated. She praised Brondello's championship pedigree, portraying the coach swap as mutually beneficial rather than punitive. Fans followed her every word, dissecting quotes for insight. Some saw genuine admiration. Others smelled calculated spin. Either way, Clark controlled the narrative. Inside the league office, commissioners held emergency strategy sessions to address the explosive debate. Concerns centered on whether Clark's actions undermined the authority of coaches and the sanctity of team structures. A memo circulated proposing formal guidelines for all-star events: no coach trades, limited on-air pranks, strict interview protocols. Proponents argued for order. Detractors warned against stifling player expression. The debate spilled into boardroom corridors, echoing the larger struggle between tradition and transformation. Clark's ascent had forced the WNBA to confront uncomfortable questions about who truly held power in the sport. Back with Clark's teammates, faction lines began to emerge. Some rallied around her, inspired by her audacity. Others resented the spotlight that eclipsed their own contributions. One bench player, Rachel Morgan, confided to a local blog that the locker room felt uneasy, with conversations stalling whenever Clark walked in. Another starter, Taylor Reed, reached out privately to Reeve, offering support and debrief on her coaching style. This clandestine communication hinted at fractures beneath the team's polished facade. Fans watching closely noticed subtle body language in televised practice, clipped stiff smiles, averted glances fueling speculation of internal discord. The drama took an unexpected turn when Reeve's masterclass premiered online. In sleek black and white production, she broke down iconic game-winning plays, sharing insider anecdotes that captivated aspiring coaches. Comments flooded in, praising her expertise and lamenting her treatment. The series went viral inadvertently, reminding the public of Reeve's undeniable impact on the game. Overnight, the narrative shifted. Reeve was no longer the wronged coach alone. She had become a mentor figure for a new generation. Clark's supporters bristled at the renewed applause for her rival, fearing the spotlight might slip away. Not to be outdone, Clark rallied her allies in an invitation-only charity event. Hosted at a trendy downtown showroom, the gathering featured acrobatic basketball exhibitions, celebrity guests, and a surprise on-court interview where Clark reaffirmed her vision for player empowerment. Videos of the event lit up social platforms, showcasing her charisma and marketing savvy. Yet beneath the glamour lay strategic positioning. Clark was building a coalition of sponsors, influencers, and like-minded athletes ready to support her vision. It was a masterstroke that further entrenched her as the movement's figurehead, while the off-court battle raged. The All-Star Game loomed as the next proving ground. Brondello, tasked with coaching Clark's team, faced an uphill challenge: earn the trust of players accustomed to Clark's direct leadership style while satisfying her employer's expectations. At their first practice, Brondello addressed the squad with warmth and candor. "We're in this together," she said, scanning skeptical faces. Clark offered a half smile, a hint of respect beyond rivalry. As drills began, players noticed Brondello's calm presence, the subtle ways she encouraged collaboration. By practice's end, cracks had formed an initial resistance, replaced by cautious optimism. Incidents on the court reflected the evolving dynamics. In a scrimmage, a spike in competitive energy led to a heated exchange between Clark and a rookie teammate over a miscommunication in a play. Voices rose, hands gestured, and laughter followed as Brondello stepped between them with a joke that diffused tension. Watching from the sideline, Collier nodded in approval. This was coaching at its best, blending discipline with levity. The camera caught the moment, and by evening social posts highlighted Brondello's steady hand, questioning Clark's earlier dismissal of Reeve. The tide of public opinion began to ebb again. As game day approached, narrative threads converged. Sports networks devoted segments to debating whether Clark's power play had enhanced or undermined the spirit of competition. Panelists clashed over whether athletes should wield such influence. Former players weighed in with personal anecdotes of past conflicts. Late-night hosts spun jokes and interviews. Pundits surveyed the OneBuzz brand health, citing viewership, spikes, and sponsorship volatility. The league's stock, so to speak, was riding on the outcome of what was billed as more than an exhibition. It was a referendum on authority itself. On the evening of the All-Star Game, the arena pulsated with electricity. Fans donned T-shirts reading Team Clark or Reeve Revival, visible from the rafters. Chants rose and fell in waves, at times celebrating player skill, at others mocking the off-court drama. Clark, wearing an expression of steely determination, rose with her teammates for introductions. Brondello offered a supportive nod, while Reeve, coaching the opposing roster, stood at the far end, chin lifted, exuding quiet dignity. Cameras panned between them, capturing a tableau of competition and reconciliation. Moments before tip-off, Clark breathed in deeply, center stage, knowing this game would reverberate beyond the final buzzer. The arena lights glowed like high beams on a stage, casting long shadows across the polished court as the All-Star Game tipped off. In the opening seconds, Caitlin Clark darted past defenders for an easy layup, the crowd roaring in approval. Yet every basket she made was met with whispers about her off-court power play. Fans chanted coach swap, and Clark runs this. As cameras panned to Cheryl Reeve, standing stoic on the opposite sideline, arms folded in silent challenge. Emotions ran high as two titans of the game faced off in a contest that felt deeply personal. Halfway through the first quarter, a sudden collision set the tone for the night's drama. A Spark player barreled into Brondello's coaching box, narrowly missing Reeve. Referee whistles shrilled, and both benches rose, a chaotic dialogue of protest and accusation flooding the court. Brondello sprinted down the sideline, hands raised in appeal, while Reeve shot a glare so fierce it could have ignited the hardwood. Sideline reporters scrambled for mics, shouting, "What just happened? We've never seen this intensity at an All-Star game." The unexpected physicality underscored the raw emotions simmering beneath the spectacle. As the second quarter began, Clark called out a plan alley-oop to her teammate Aaliyah Boston. The ball soared, and Boston slammed it home with thunderous authority. Cameras caught Clark's triumphant fist pump, but just as quickly, she turned to the crowd and mouthed, "This is our moment." Across the court, Reeve's team huddled tight, whispered instructions, half smiles, and determined nods revealed Reeve's influence. She was a master strategist even under the spotlight's glare. The contrast between Clark's assertive leadership and Reeve's calm guidance painted a picture of competing philosophies amid the on-court fireworks. Family members in the stands watched with bated breath. Clark's parents exchanged anxious glances, remembering the day she first picked up a basketball, dreaming of stardom but never imagining a day where she would publicly oust her coach. Reeve's sister sat nearby, clutching a tissues packet, eyes fixed on the court with a mix of pride and protectiveness. The family was left divided, torn between admiration for their loved ones, courage, and heartbreak at the personal sacrifice it entailed. As halftime approached, a dramatic twist unfolded. Clark grabbed a loose rebound, started a coast-to-coast drive, then passed to Sandra Ionescu for a clean three. Instead of celebrating, Clark paused in midair, glancing at Reeve with a steely expression. The ball swished through the net like a declaration. She was not just playing. She was making a statement. The bench erupted, fans on their feet chanting "Ruthless." Meanwhile, Reeve called a quick timeout, gathering her players for a rousing speech. Cameras captured her voice. Calm but fierce. "This court is mine too." Never underestimate experience. The crowd fell silent, hanging on to every word. The locker rooms at halftime were flurries of activity. Clark's squad high-fived and slapped water bottles, eyes shining with excitement. Collier leaned in close to Clark. "They're not ready." "For round 2, she whispered. Clark smirked. "Let them try," she replied. In the opposite room, Reeve paced while Brondello listened from a folding chair. Reeve pulled out her notes. "Remember, focus on the small details," she reminded her team. Brondello nodded, impressed by Reeve's meticulous preparation. "You've got this," she said softly, then added, "and I'll back you up." The unexpected alliance between coaches backstage hinted at shifting loyalties. The third quarter began with a flurry of three-pointers. Claire Hamilton drilled one from the corner, then Sharice Davis sank another, electrifying the crowd. Clark, sensing an opening, intercepted a pass and raced down court, only to hesitate and dish to Boston for a dunk. The sequence showcased not just athletic prowess but evolving chemistry. Fans were treated to a display of teamwork that masked the underlying tension. Every basket felt laced with subtext. Was this unity genuine or part of a grander spectacle? About 3 minutes in, a surprising moment stole the headlines. Clark missed a wide-open three, and as she sank to her knees in frustration, Reeve jogged over to her on-court scorer's table. The crowd gasped as Reeve placed a gentle hand on Clark's shoulder, offering a quick word of encouragement. The gesture, fleeting as it was, sent shockwaves. Analysts noted Reeve's humility and Clark's momentary surprise. Fans are shocked to see any sign of reconciliation in such a bitter saga. Cameras zoomed in on Clark's face, a complex mix of gratitude and lingering resentment rippling across her features. Later in the quarter, the unexpected intervened. The arena lights flickered, plunging the court into darkness for a tense few seconds. Murmurs swept through the stands. When power returned, the scoreboard had flipped. Reeve's roster led by 5 points. Whether it was a deliberate stunt by producers or a genuine technical glitch, the moment added to the evening's unpredictability. Clark huddled with Collier, mapping out her response. "Us." In hushed tones, she barked. "We adjust or we lose." Collier nodded, tapping her playbook fiercely. As the fourth quarter dawned, fatigue and determination mingled on every face. Clark's SQAD trailed by 2, and with 90 seconds left, she took control. She drove into the lane, absorbed contact, and sank both free throws. The crowd held its breath. On the next possession, Reeve drew up a textbook pick and roll, allowing Brondello's daughter to sink a mid-range jumper. The benches rose, fans cheered, but Clark's stare was unbroken. She knew the next play would decide more than this game. It would define her legacy in the battle for league dominance, with 20 seconds on the clock. Collier inbounded to Clark, who immediately called for a screen from Davis. The play unfolded in slow motion. Clark used the screen, dribbled right, crossed over, then pulled up for a high-arching three. As the shot left her hands, the arena held its collective breath. Cameras captured Reeve standing on tiptoes, arms raised in anticipation. The ball hit the backboard, bounced once, then dropped through the net as the buzzer sounded. Pandemonium erupted. Clark sprinted down the court, arms wide, tears of relief shining. Reeve paused, hand on heart, then broke into a proud smile. The post-game scene was a masterclass in conflicting emotions. Clark embraced Collier, sobs in her voice as she whispered, "We did it." Teammates swarmed her, chanting her name. At the same time, Reeve's roster congratulated her privately, opening the door for mutual respect that had seemed impossible hours earlier. On live television, Reeve offered a dignified nod to Clark and Brondello, saying that was a spectacular finish. Clark responded with a subtle curtsy, a gesture that carried both defiance and decorum. Analysts called it the most memorable All-Star moment in WNBA history. Fans spilled into social media in a frenzy. Some celebrated Clark's clutch shot as the ultimate power play, while others hailed Reeve's grace under fire. Hashtags like hashtag Clark, Clutch, and hashtag Reeve Respect trended side by side. Influencers posted reaction videos dissecting every frame of the final play, while sports psychologists weighed in on the coaches' contrasting leadership styles. The league's board met again behind closed doors, this time with no calls for restrictions, only admiration for a narrative that had transcended sport to become cultural phenomenon. Amid the jubilation, one subplot simmered beneath the surface. Collier, walking off the court, exchanged a charged glance with a mysterious figure in the VIP box, a former One Bus star rumored to be considering a comeback. Fans speculated that she had quietly courted Collier for insider tips on harnessing Clark's power. The family was left divided and new as whispers of yet another alliance hinted at ongoing intrigue. The night's events had closed one chapter, but opened countless others in the saga of Caitlin Clark's ruthless ascent as the arena emptied. Clark and Reeve found themselves crossing paths in the corridor. Neither spoke, but they paused, locked, eyes and nodded with a blend of rivalry and respect that few would have predicted. The world watched on late-night recaps and endless highlight reels, trying to guess the meaning of that silent exchange. The headlines called it a truce or a prelude to future battles. But in that fleeting moment, 'twas simply two warriors acknowledging each other's power before vanishing into the night. The echoes of their clash still reverberating through the league. The aftermath of that epic showdown rippled through the league in ways few could have predicted. Back at practice the next morning, Caitlin Clark arrived to a mixture of applause and wary silence. Teammates hung on to her every step, yet some lingered at the periphery, still processing the seismic shift she had forced upon the Wemba's power structure. One bench player, Lauren Mills, lingered after drills to catch Clark's attention. "You changed everything," she said softly. Clark paused, wiping sweat from her brow. "We wrote our own rules," she replied, voice low but fierce. Mills nodded, uncertain if she was praising or fearing the transformation that had taken root. Meanwhile, Cheryl Reeve retreated into a strategic bunker of her own. In a rented loft near the practice facility, she assembled a team of trusted advisors, analysts, former players, and even a brand consultant. They pored over video loops of the All-Star draft, dissecting Clark's every gesture, tone, and word. Their goal, to craft a counter-narrative that would re-establish Reeve's authority and remind the world of her coaching genius. Late into the night, Reeve recorded a series of video lessons on fundamentals, vowing to post them on social platforms under the banner Game Intel with Cheryl. Supporters rallied behind her, celebrating the return of a coach unbowed by spectacle. On the court, Coach Sandy Brondello faced her own trial by fire, entrusted with Clark's all-star squad. She had to balance star-driven creative freedom with the discipline of team execution. Whispers spread that Brondello had spent hours negotiating with Clark over practice drills. Some accounts even claimed they had argued over free throw routines. Yet, by Jamito Brondello's Tom leadership prevailed, yielding a near victory that only fueled debate over whose influence had been stronger. Clark's or Brondello's analysts dissected every timeout huddle, comparing that to Reeve's style before the swap, igniting fresh waves of commentary. Off the court, social media morphed into a labyrinth of fan theories and conspiracies. Threads on message boards speculated that Clark's power play was secretly brokered by network executives eager to boost ratings. Others insisted that a shadowy agent orchestrated the swap to secure Clark a multi-year media contract. Memes of Clark wearing a crown atop a mountain of clipboards went viral, accompanied by captions like "Queen of Chaos" and "Win at all costs." Yet amid the banter, some fans mourned the perceived loss of sportsmanship, lamenting that the WNBA had traded camaraderie for cutthroat theatrics. Family dynamics added another layer of intrigue. Clark's younger sister Lexi found herself fielding calls from curious friends and distant relatives. Over coffee, Lexi confided to Clark's mother, She's always been confident. But this feels different, like she's stepping into a role we never imagined. Clark's mother nodded, tears in her eyes. Just forging her own path, she said. But I hope she knows who she is beyond the headlines. Back at Reeves Lake House, her niece organized a community basketball camp in her honor, offering free clinics for local girls. Flyers bore Reeves' image with the tagline, "Learn from a true coach." A subtle reminder that leadership could be more than spectacle. Within the league office, commissioners convened a policy summit. Representatives from Players Union, Coaches Association, and broadcasters gathered to debate new guidelines for the All-Star Draft. Proposals ranged from banning coach trades to instituting formal coach-player contracts for exhibition events. Voices clashed over tradition versus innovation. One executive lamented, "We risk undermining the authority of our coaching staff if we allow players to treat coaches as interchangeable parts." A players' union delegate countered, "Athletes are the product. They deserve agency over their environment." The debate underscored the deeper tensions exposed by Clark's bold move. Add to this the swirling rumors of future cameo appearances. Industry insiders whispered that Hollywood producers were eyeing a docu-series on the saga, complete with reenactments and behind-the-scenes interviews. Clark and Reeve had both received requests for exclusive on-camera discussions, potentially blurring the line between sport and entertainment even further. Agents fought over rights deals and profit splits, while Clark's management team weighed the impact on her personal brand. Reeve, two-faced decisions: embrace the spotlight once more, or double down on coaching to avoid the reality star. Labeled the locker room at the Fever's practice facility became ground zero for shifting allegiances. Some players who had initially cheered Clark's takeover began to question its wisdom. An anonymous veteran guard was overheard telling a reporter, "We need stability, not stunts." Others remained fiercely loyal, vowing to follow Clark's vision to the ends of the earth. Team managers held private meetings, surveying sentiment and preparing for potential fractures. The specter of locker room discord loomed larger than any opponent on the schedule. Amid the maelstrom, a clock carved out moments of solitude. Early mornings found her at the empty arena shooting free throws under the glow of stadium lights. She recorded video journals for herself, reflecting on the choices she had made and their consequences. "Power is a tool," she wrote, "but it must be wielded with purpose." These personal reflections contrasted sharply with the public persona of ruthlessness, hinting at the inner struggles beneath the confident veneer. For Reeve, the path to redemption took shape through action. She accepted an offer to serve as guest analyst on a high-profile sports network, using the platform to showcase her insights. In one segment, Reeve dissected a complex defensive rotation with surgical precision, earning praise for her clarity and expertise. Social media users responded with messages like, "Show them how it's done," and "Coach of the Century." The momentum behind Reeve's resurgence signaled that, even in defeat, a leader could reclaim her narrative through skill and substance. The season unfolded with Clark's team alternating wins and losses, each game carrying an undercurrent of the all-star drama. Opponents targeted her with aggressive defenses, testing her resilience on the court. In one marquee matchup, a double team forced Clark into a powerful outlet pass that led to a fast break dunk by a teammate. A moment praised as the embodiment of team-first leadership. Commentators noted that Clark's emphasis on collaboration hinted at growth beyond the initial power grab. Off camera, Clark's relationship with Brondello deepened into a mentor-mentee bond. Brondello invited Clark to her off-season coaching clinic, co-teaching sessions on leadership and game theory. The pairing of veteran coach and rising star became a symbol of possibility, that control need not be solitary, but could be shared for mutual benefit. Fans who had feared Clark's ego found themselves warmed by the duo's camaraderie, softening initial judgments about the all-star swap. Yet, as the playoffs approached, Reeves' camp prepared a final strategic move. In collaboration with a prominent sports journalist, Reeve planned a long-form profile in a leading magazine, revealing personal anecdotes and behind-the-scenes insights into her coaching philosophy. The feature promised to humanize Reeve, portraying her as the wronged architect of many champions. Excerpts teased revelations about Clark's early struggles under Reeve's tutelage, suggesting that the rift had deeper roots than public spats indicated. On the eve of the playoffs, LEAGUE officials unveiled new guidelines for future All-Star drafts. Coaches would be selected by a committee rather than traded live on air. The announcement cited concerns about disruption and respect for the coaching profession. Clark's immediate reaction was disappointment, but she framed it as a necessary step for league stability. "We all evolve," she said in a televised statement. Reeve responded with measured grace. "Coaches and players both shape this game. Collaboration, not conflict, moves us forward." The stage was set for a postseason that felt like the culmination of months of drama. Clark's team faced rivals, coached by Reeve in a high-stakes series. Every possession, every timeout, carried echoes of the earlier power play. Cameras lingered on bench interactions, capturing the subtle dance of respect, rivalry, and shared history. Commentators reminded viewers of the all-star coach swap, framing each rebound and assist as a chapter in the ongoing saga. In Game 1, Clark delivered a masterful performance: points, assists, rebounds, and a trademark no-look pass that left fans chanting her name. Reeve's team countered with disciplined defense and timely three-pointers, keeping the contest tight. In a post-game interview, Reeve praised Clark's growth. "She's proven she's more than a headline. She's a leader on the court." Clark, in turn, acknowledged Reeve's influence. "Every move I make is built on what she taught me." The mutual recognition suggested a reconciliation forged through competition. As the series unfolded, the narrative shifted from conflict to respect. Both coaches displayed adaptability, adjusting tactics and showing mutual admiration for each other's strengths. Media coverage evolved accordingly, highlighting the drama's transformation from bitter feud to compelling rivalry. Fans, once divided, found unity in celebrating the sport's best talents. The original shock of the coach trade faded into legend, remembered as the catalyst for a season that redefined the WNBA's dynamics. And so, the chapter that began with a ruthless power play closed with a renewed sense of possibility. The league emerged stronger, its story enriched by conflict, resolution, and the ever-evolving relationship between player and coach. Yet beneath the triumph lay the knowledge that in this world of high stakes and living headlines, a calm could herald the next storm, waiting for the bold to seize the moment once more. And there you have it, this saga that started with a jaw-dropping coach swap and spiraled into a season-long drama of power, loyalty, and redemption. Caitlin Clark's ruthless power play didn't just shock the WNBA. It exposed deeper questions about who really calls the shots. Will players wield this new influence responsibly, or are more coach trading stunts on the horizon? Can Cheryl Reeve's masterful comeback restore respect for the coaching craft, or has the balance of power forever shifted? Your opinion matters. In this unfolding story, smash that like button if you're cheering for Clark's bold leadership, or hit dislike if you believe tradition must prevail. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you never miss an update as we track every twist. Will the league clamp down on live trades, or will stars double down on their newfound authority? Drop a comment below. Do you think this was a brilliant power move or a reckless gambit that could backfire? Share which moment blew your mind and what you predict will happen when Clark and Reeve face off again, whether on the hardwood or beyond.